everyone, my name is Sam. Thanks for checking out this video. If you get to the end and liked it, then subscribe, bell notification, thumbs up video. It is that time of year again. I wanted to look at all of my 2020 goals. And, well, it's been helpful actually because I was kind of wrapping up, like, where am I standing with my 2019 stuff? So, I think I this year wanted to focus on less, broader things, I guess, and more specifics. And I just reduced the total number of goals, I think, overall to make it a little bit more manageable, because I feel like early 2019 I was spending so much time on my TBR being like, well, wait, hold on, I forgot about this other series and everything. And, like, I got a lot of what I wanted to get done, but I feel like it was just a lot of too much trying to, like, bend over backwards to make my TBRs work with what I wanted to read, with what I was trying to get myself to accomplish in the year. So that is how I went into my 2020 goal. So this year, one of the things I want to get done is to complete the TBR and Beyond Group yearly challenge, which is something I put together along with one of our mods. So I'm really excited. I don't have everything totally scheduled and planned out, which is fine, but we ended up doing a list with 28 prompts and then 4 bonus prompts. And I really like that we did this year was a lot of every prompt essentially has an option, so you get to pick which one you want to do to make it fit a little bit more into what you have existing on your TBR, rather than add books that maybe you weren't interested in reading before, or just ones that I guess are a little bit easier to get through. So, I mean, I know for sure one of them is read a book with a dinosaur or talking animals. I for sure want to read a book with a dinosaur. We found out about this subgenre, like 2 or 3 years ago, called Dino Erotica. It's a thing. And the books are like 20 pages as an ebook. I really want to read at least one of them to just figure out exactly. I just have so many questions. So I feel like that's probably what I'm going to read one of these months. Reading a historical nonfiction or true crime. I honestly think it's just going to depend. I have to go through my list of nonfictions and figure out what I really want to read right now, because I would really enjoy either of those. Number 3 is read a book with a title 5 letters long or a number in the title. That one's going to probably lean towards one with a number in the title, because I feel like I have a decent amount of books that I still need to get to with numbers in the titles, including like Deviate. Read a book written in the 1990s or a classic from the 1900s. I think I want to go with a classic. I'm trying to get myself to read a bit more of that sort of stuff. Read a book from the Rick Riordan imprint or the Salaam Reads imprint. I'm probably going to go with Rick Riordan. I just have so many of those books that I want to read, but I have a feeling I'll probably read at least one from the Salaam Reads imprint. I really still want to get to Love from A to Z, because she's a Canadian and Muslim-owned voices author. Read a book you read as a child or a book you wish you'd read as a child. I want to reread Coraline. It's been a long time since I've read that, and that was like my rebellious book as a kid when the stupid like librarian in my hometown was trying to make me only read Dear Canada or The Babysitter's Club, and I was like, no. Read a novel with illustrations or a graphic novel. I think I'm going to leave that up to what I'm feeling like later on in the year, because I'll read either of those. I have no preference. Read a book you own with the lowest Goodreads ranking or a book you DNF'd. I'm probably going to go with Goodreads ranking just because I feel like there's a lot of gems there that people just don't appreciate. Kat Winters is a perfect example of that. That most of her books don't have the greatest of Goodreads scores, but I really enjoy her stuff. Read a book with time travel or parallel universes. I'm going to do either, like both of those, no matter what. It's just built into my TBR. I love that shit. Read a book set during your favorite holiday or season. I feel like I'm going to go with season. I don't really necessarily have much of a favorite holiday. I feel like a lot of holidays are tied to like religion or family, and like I'm estranged from most of my family, and like we're not the religious people. So probably a season. A book that you were gifted or unhauling. I'd probably go with one gifted because I have stuff coming for the holidays, I'm sure. Read a book because you love the cover or you hate the cover. Oof, I do both of those, so that won't be hard. Read a book that you think will make you cry or make you angry. There's several books that I have not read because I think they'll make me cry, so I can do that. I read books all the time that make me angry because they're set in historical time periods where sexism is rampant. I just finished reading A Mad Book at Folly, which made me angry. Read a book with water on the cover or fire on the cover. I feel like those are probably pretty easy. I just have to look through my actual TBR and find. But I know I have books with both on them, so I don't think that'll be particularly hard. Read a book that your friend hated or reread a book that you hated. I think I'm going to go with one that a friend hated, because I have friends that have opposite tastes of me and they really dislike books that I tell them to read. cheating, but whatever. Read a book that you're on the fence about, or read an overhyped book. Probably overhyped book, because I'm always so curious about why they are overhyped. The Cruel Prince was a perfect example of that. That I read it and I was like, I don't get it. What am I missing? Read a book without a person on the cover, or read a book with a person of color on the cover. Both of those are pretty easy based on my existing collection. Read a book that has been on your shelf for over a year, or a book that you meant to read in 2019 but didn't. Again, both of those are pretty easy for me. Just because I'm looking at it right now, probably I'll try and read the Mona Lisa Key, which is this middle grade book called in like the series called like Time Castaways. I bought that earlier this year, which I was trying to get to, but I just haven't. But that's not a super difficult one for me. Set somewhere you want to travel to, or set in a time that you want to visit. Both of those, again, pretty easy for me. Read a book with a ghost author, or a book from an indie author. I probably will go with Indian author because I have to catch up on my Elise Kova content. Back catalog, so that'll probably be easy. Read a book with a foiled cover, or a book that has your favorite color. Both of those will be easy, but I'll probably go with foiled cover because I need to read Crownbreaker by Sebastian de Castell. Read a book that's under 200 pages or over 500 pages. I can probably easily do the over 500 pages one. Just looking, mind you, I've read a lot of my like chunkier books this year. I'll have to double check because Sky Without Stars is a longer book, and I know the sequel's coming out. I might want to reread that, so I'll have to double check, but I have quite a few books that are over 500 pages, so that shouldn't be too hard. Read an anthology or an audiobook. I'll probably do both, but audiobook is easier for me. Read a book that the summary or the cover makes you go, what the fuck? I think that'll be pretty... I mean, technically, I guess I'm already using it for another prompt, but the Dino-Erotica one makes me go, what the fuck? I mean, both of those, I think... I mean, what the fuck doesn't have to be in a bad way. I mean, what the fuck? Why doesn't it exist already? I feel like I'll be able to do that, both of those, pretty easily, honestly. Read a book where people travel by train or by car. Train, just because it seems to be a lot more common in historical fictions, especially World War II's. Read a book with a horse or a bird on the cover. I think I have a lot with birds on the cover, to be totally honest, so that'll probably be what I'll do. Read a book of poetry or written in verse. Written in verse. I've read so many like interesting like poems or just things like the White Rose by Kip Wilson was a beautiful one written in verse, and so I've been keeping an eye out for historical fictions in verse. And one came out later this year, later in 2019. I think it's about the the Japanese internment camps. I'll have to triple check, but I remember seeing one that was like, oh, that sounds interesting. So I'll have to go through my like want to read list on Goodreads. And then read a book with multiple POVs or written in first person. Multiple POVs all the way. Bonuses is read a most anticipated for 2020 or most favorite 2019 read. That'll be pretty easy, both of them. Read a book picked by a librarian or TBR and Beyond member. I'll go with librarian because I have a coworker that we have pretty opposing interests and viewpoints on everything, so it'll be interesting to see what she gets me. Read a book from Own Voices or the Release the Cash photo album. I'll probably go with Own Voices, but I mean, Release the Cash won't be difficult either because I put recommendations in there. And then lastly, read a book that Sam Lacroix or Felicia Matthews picks. I mean, I'll go with Felicia, but like, she also made me read Say You'll Remember Me or something like that by Katie McCarthy or McGrath or whatever, and I detested that book. So she also suggested, among other people, Red, White, and Royal Blue. So hopefully I can find one that she recommends that I will like. And I won't, or at least I won't hate it as much as I did that book, because wow, I really hated that book. So I also have a couple things I want to get done outside of that challenge, so I wrote them all down in my handy little inkling planner. So I want to make sure I get through the yearly challenge. I also want to reread the first two books of the Caraval trilogy and then read Finale. I loved that series and I'm just scared. Everyone seems to have liked Finale, but I'm just scared, so I want to reread because the books are very weird. I also want to read The Tombs by Deborah Schomburg. I've owned that book for about 1.5 years now, 2 years. I look at it every time and I think I've put it on a few TBRs and I just haven't gotten to it. It doesn't have an audiobook, which makes it harder. But during the months of this year, at least one time that I know I'm going to be like on a week or so vacation from work, I want to try and get to that one. I want to read Les Mis, so that was one of the one of my goals for 2019. I originally had borrowed the book from the library, but I'm just not able to read it fast enough. It's a big book, and you only have, I think it's 2.5 months or so maximum before you have to return them. So I had to return it. And then I saw this absolutely beautiful edition from Barnes & Noble that my friend Jennifer tried to get me. They sent her a weird mass market one instead and then like argued that it didn't exist, even though it's on their website. And then I bought it and another friend picked it up for me, and then it's just been kind of idle sitting there. So my friend Joanne is going to, she actually went and picked it up for me already, and she's shipping it to me for, you know, a Christmas gift. So thank you so much, Joanne. So I will have my own copy so I can work my way through it over the course of the year. It's a very weird one that I don't think it makes sense to binge. So I want to have that beautiful edition and read it and appreciate it. I want to try and read one arc a month. I have such a back like catalog of arcs. I don't care if it's out or if it's an upcoming one. I just want to make sure I read at least one arc a month this year. I also want to read the first 3 of the Mistborn. I don't know how big that series is, but I own Mistborn, The Well of Ascension, and The Hero of Ages, and I really want to try and get to those. And then lastly, I want to read the City of Brass trilogy. I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Dianverberg or something like that trilogy. I don't know how to pronounce it. But I want to reread The City of Brass. I will read The Kingdom of Copper, and the 3rd and final book is supposed to come out in 2020. So I will read that when it comes out. And I'm so excited because City of Brass was like a mind-blowingly good debut. And lastly, I guess just total for numbers. This year my challenge was for Goodreads. I think it was 200 and... Was it 200 or 250? I'd have to double check. But I well surpassed that a while ago. So I want to up it this year to see if I can kind of keep at my pace that I'm at, to trying to read 275 books in 2020. And I know that sometimes I see people who are like, oh, I feel like I'm not doing anything when I see how much you guys read or whatever. I have no life. You very possibly do have a life. I also like listen along with audiobooks. That's not for everyone. That's fine. I also don't have children or a significant other that I have to spend time with. And I have, very luckily, just a traditional Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30 job that promotes reading. So when I come home, I'm excited to read. So just work with whatever works for you. You don't have to hold yourself to my speeds. That doesn't make sense. Just try and enjoy the time and the books that you do read. So those are all my 2020 plans. Let me know in the comment section if you have any. I would love to know any and all. And I don't need to link anything in the well, I guess I could, no, I'm not linking anything in the description box down below. I will link all of my social media though down there. If you follow me, I will follow you back, and have a happy holidays.